There is a reason most people never achieve greatness, a reason why they remain stagnant, never breaking through to the other side, where the strongest, the most disciplined, and the most relentless live. That reason is simple. They refuse to suffer. They refuse to walk through the fire that forges the unbreakable. They seek comfort, shelter, and ease while telling themselves they want success, strength, and resilience. You cannot have both. If you truly want to break free from the limitations that chain you down, you must embrace suffering. Not the kind that life throws at you when you least expect it, but the suffering you choose. The suffering you welcome with open arms. Voluntary suffering. Every great individual who has ever walked this earth understood one thing. You don't wait for hardship, you create it. You don't sit around hoping to be tested. You test yourself daily. You go out and deliberately put yourself in situations where your mind screams for you to quit, where your body begs for rest, where every fiber of your being tells you to stop. And in those moments, you override that weakness, that built-in comfort-seeking mechanism, and you force yourself forward. That is the difference between those who live in mediocrity and those who ascend to greatness. It is the ability to suffer, to endure, and to come out stronger on the other side. Pain is the ultimate teacher. Pain is the forge where character is built, where the weak are burned away and where only the strong remain. When you voluntarily subject yourself to suffering, you are doing something most people will never do. You are conditioning your mind to be unshakable. Every time you step into the discomfort of suffering, whether it's pushing your body to its physical limits, silencing the excuses that hold you back, or taking on challenges that seem impossible, you are rewiring your brain. You are teaching yourself that pain is not your enemy, it is your ally. It is the doorway to strength, to resilience, to absolute control over your destiny. Most people spend their lives avoiding pain. They build walls of convenience around themselves, making sure they never have to feel the sting of hardship. They choose the easy road every single time and wonder why they never change. They wonder why they are stuck in the same place year after year with the same problems, the same failures, the same weaknesses. The answer is simple. They refuse to suffer. They refuse to put themselves in situations that demand more from them. They refuse to willingly go to war with their own limitations. But for those who understand the power of suffering, life is different. They wake up every day knowing that suffering is a privilege, a tool, a weapon. They seek out discomfort, chase down hardship, and throw themselves into the fire willingly. They don't wait for circumstances to test them. They create their own tests. And because of that, they are unstoppable. They are the ones who can walk into any storm and not break. They are the ones who can endure what others cannot. They are the ones who stand tall when everyone else has fallen. You have a choice to make every single day. You can take the easy road, the path of least resistance, and continue to live a life of mediocrity. Or you can make the harder choice, the choice to suffer, to endure, to push beyond what you thought was possible. You can wake up and decide to be better than you were yesterday by putting yourself through hell. You can choose to run when your legs are screaming, to work when you're exhausted, to keep fighting when everything in you tells you to quit. You can choose to suffer now so that later, when life throws real challenges your way, you are ready. There is no magic formula, no shortcut, no easy way out. You want to be great? You want to be unbreakable? Then you must learn to suffer. You must crave it, seek it out, and embrace it fully. Because suffering is not your enemy. It is your path to greatness. It is the only way you will ever become the strongest version of yourself. So stop waiting. Stop looking for an easier way. Stop hoping that somehow, without pain, without struggle, you will become the person you were meant to be. It will never happen. The only way to get there is through the fire, through the suffering, through the relentless, voluntary pursuit of pain and hardship. That is where strength is built. That is where resilience is forged. That is where true greatness is born. So suffer. Suffer every single day. Suffer more than anyone else is willing to. And when the world looks at you and wonders how you became unbreakable, you will know the answer. You will know that you made yourself this way, that you took control of your fate, that you embraced suffering, and in doing so became something no one else could ever be. You're unstoppable. Most people operate at a fraction of their potential, trapped in the illusion of comfort, addicted to ease, and shackled by weakness. They avoid struggle, sidestep suffering, and convince themselves that life should be smooth. But the truth is simple. Greatness is forged in fire. It is built through suffering, through relentless pressure, through the kind of pain that most people run from. If you want to reach your highest potential, if you want to become someone who cannot be broken, you must make yourself suffer. You must learn to callous your mind. The mind is like a muscle, weak when untrained, strong when tested. But unlike muscles, the mind doesn't grow through simple repetition. It grows through suffering. You must put yourself in situations that demand more than you think you have. You must deliberately seek discomfort, because every time you do, you are chiseling away at the weakness inside you, leaving behind something harder, something unshakable, something unstoppable. Most people live soft lives. They avoid the cold, the hunger, the exhaustion, the pain of discipline. They let their minds stay fragile, untested, and weak. They believe that life should be easy, and that when things get hard, it means something is wrong. That's the lie. The truth is, life is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to break you down, but only if you let it. And the only way to make sure life doesn't destroy you is to harden your mind before it does. You don't wait for suffering to come to you. You go to war with it. You seek it out. You make it your ally. Because when suffering becomes familiar, when pain becomes normal, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing pain, you become limitless. The process of callousing your mind is brutal. It is relentless. It doesn't care about your feelings, your excuses, your past, or your circumstances. It only rewards action. It rewards suffering. You must put yourself in situations where you are cold, tired, hungry, and beaten down. You must wake up when you don't want to, push through workouts when your body screams at you to stop, and keep moving forward when your mind begs you to quit. Because that is the only way to forge a mind that does not break. Pain is your teacher. Pain is your guide. It shows you exactly where you are weak, exactly where you need to push harder. When most people feel pain, they back off. They tell themselves they've done enough. But the reality is, pain is the starting point. When it hurts, that's when you begin. When you feel like quitting, that's when the real work starts. Because the moment you decide to embrace pain instead of fearing it, you take control. You become the master of your own mind. Most people will never understand this. They will live their entire lives avoiding suffering, avoiding hardship, avoiding anything that makes them uncomfortable. They will never know what it feels like to push beyond their limits, to test the outer edges of their potential, to see what they are truly capable of. They will never experience the pride of looking in the mirror and knowing that they built themselves through relentless effort. But you don't have to be most people. You don't have to be weak. You can make a choice to step into suffering, a choice to forge yourself into something harder than life itself. Everything you want in life, strength, confidence, resilience, discipline, it all comes from suffering. The people you admire, the ones who seem unbreakable, they got there because they suffered more than anyone else. They embraced pain. They sought out hardship. They didn't wait for motivation. They built discipline through relentless action. And they didn't stop when they were tired. You have that same ability inside you. You have the power to transform yourself, to build a mind that cannot be broken. But it won't happen by accident. It won't happen while you're comfortable. It won't happen while you're making excuses. It will only happen when you decide to make yourself suffer, to put yourself through hell and keep going, to do what most people won't so you can become what most people never will. Callous your mind, harden yourself, make suffering your daily ritual, because when life comes for you, and it will, you'll be ready, and nothing will ever break you again. Most people have never truly suffered. They avoid pain like it's a curse, retreating into comfort, into safety, into mediocrity. But the truth is, suffering is where transformation happens. It's where the weak are broken and the strong are built. The mind, the body, the spirit, they only grow when they're forced into the fire. If you want to be more, do more, and achieve more, you have to be willing to suffer. You have to invite it. You have to chase it down and embrace it like an old friend. Because when the pain comes, and it will, you have two choices: break or fight. Most people break. They tap out the moment they feel discomfort, the moment their lungs burn, their legs shake, their mind screams for relief. But the few, the ones who refuse to surrender, they stay in the fight. They endure. And in that endurance, they forge something unbreakable. Staying in the fight isn't about talent. It isn't about luck. It isn't about some God-given gift that makes you different from everyone else. It's about willpower. It's about choosing suffering over comfort, pain over ease, and discipline over indulgence. The people who go the furthest in life aren't the smartest or the strongest. They're the ones who refuse to quit when quitting seems like the only option. You have to understand that the mind is your greatest enemy. It will lie to you. It will tell you that you're done when you're not even close. It will scream for you to stop when you still have fuel in the tank. It will trick you into thinking you've reached your limit, but that limit is an illusion. The moment you think you're at your breaking point, you've barely scratched the surface of what you're capable of. That's when you push harder. That's when you dig deeper. That's when you prove to yourself that you are not like everyone else. Most people never even test themselves. They live in a world of self-imposed limitations, never daring to see how far they can go. They quit on themselves before life even has a chance to break them. They stay comfortable, weak, fragile, just waiting for life to hit them. But life will hit you. It will test you. It will knock you to your knees and dare you to get back up. The question is, will you? There is no easy path to strength, no shortcut to mental toughness, no way to build resilience without suffering. You have to put yourself through it. You have to make yourself suffer. That means waking up early when the bed is warm and comfortable. That means running when your body's screaming to stop. That means studying when you're exhausted, working when you don't feel like it, pushing through pain when every part of you wants relief. The pain is not the enemy. The enemy is your weakness. And suffering is the only way to destroy it. When you suffer on purpose, you become immune to the suffering that life throws at you. You become unshakable. The cold doesn't bother you. The pain doesn't break you. The hardship doesn't make you quit, because you've been there before. You've been to that place where your body begged you to stop, where your mind whispered that you had nothing left to give. And instead of listening, you went on. You pushed through. You stayed in the fight. That's what separates the strong from the weak. The weak avoid suffering. They look for the easy way out. They make excuses, blame circumstances, and convince themselves that life is unfair. The strong don't do that. They look in the mirror and take full responsibility. They know that suffering is the cost of greatness. They welcome it. They seek it out. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to run towards suffering, not away from it. Because every time you stay in the fight, every time you endure just a little longer, every time you silence that weak voice in your head, you become stronger. You become tougher. You become something that most people will never be: unstoppable. So when life hits you, when the pain comes, when every part of you is begging to stop, don't. Stay in the fight. Push through the suffering. Embrace the struggle, because that's where you find out who you really are. And if you can suffer more than anyone else, if you can outlast the pain, there is nothing that can break you. Make yourself suffer. Stay in the fight. And watch yourself become something you never thought possible. People run from pain. They dodge it, numb it, and do everything possible to avoid its grip. But those who understand the truth, those who want to build something unbreakable within themselves, don't just accept pain. They chase it. They don't merely endure suffering. They seek it out, mold it, and transform it into something far greater. Weakness dies in the presence of pain, but only if you have the will to keep moving forward when every fiber of your being screams for relief. Most people think pain is their enemy. They treat hardship like some unfortunate accident, something to be escaped. But pain is the best teacher you'll ever have. It's the forge that strengthens your will, the fire that burns away all weakness and excuses. The problem isn't the suffering. The problem is the mindset that tells you suffering is unfair, that it's something you don't deserve. That mindset is the very thing keeping you weak. You are not built for ease. You were built to struggle, to push through resistance, to break yourself down so you can rebuild into something stronger. If you want to become unstoppable, you must embrace voluntary suffering. The world will throw challenges at you, but the real test is whether you have the discipline to push yourself even when you don't have to. It's easy to train when you're motivated, but what about when you're exhausted? It's easy to do the work when everything is going well, but what about when life punches you in the face? Those moments define who you are. When you step into pain willingly, you are taking control of your own transformation. You are no longer waiting for hardship to come to you. You are meeting it head on and using it as fuel. Pain is the currency of strength. Every rep in the gym, every mile on the pavement, every late night spent grinding when others are asleep. Those moments of discomfort are the investments you make in your own greatness. But it's not just physical suffering that builds strength. The mental battle is even greater. When life beats you down, when people doubt you, when failure is staring you in the face, your response to that pain will determine your future. Will you fold under the weight or will you rise? There is a version of you that exists on the other side of suffering, a version that is stronger, sharper, and more resilient. But you will never reach that version if you run from pain. You have to be willing to endure, to suffer with intention, to embrace every ounce of hardship and extract power from it. Every time you feel discomfort, every time your mind tells you to stop, you must push further. You must learn to love the suffering, because in that suffering, you are being sculpted into something greater. Most people will never understand this because they want shortcuts. They want results without the grind, the victory without the struggle. But those who are truly great, those who dominate in life, know that suffering is not the enemy, it's the path. It's the only way to separate yourself from the weak, from those who settle, from those who break when life applies pressure. Pain is the greatest filter in the world. It reveals who is willing to endure and who is not. It exposes the difference between those who want greatness and those who only wish for it. You cannot negotiate with suffering. You cannot take the easy route and expect to be strong when it matters. You must make suffering your ally. You must chase it, immerse yourself in it, and allow it to transform you. Because when you learn to turn pain into power, when you refuse to quit, when you take every ounce of agony and convert it into strength, you become unstoppable. No challenge, no setback, no failure can break you because you have already walked through the fire and come out hardened. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop looking for comfort. Stop hoping for an easy road. Make yourself suffer. Find the hardest path and take it willingly. Because in that suffering, in that relentless pursuit of growth, you will find the strength that others will never know. And when the world sees you standing tall, unshaken, unbreakable, that's when they will finally understand. Pain wasn't your enemy. It was your greatest weapon.